So I really like today's Patreon topic video because I feel like a lot of people can relate to it. So let's dive in.
Give me your wig. Give me your wig. Give me your wig. You don't know what to do.
Chest out with the breast out, I bring the best out. What is up, you guys? So as you all know, on patreon.com/AdrianExpression, if you sign up for the highest category, you get the chance to vote on some of the topics that I'll be talking about in these Monday Patreon topic videos that I release every other Monday. This time though, the topics kind of were tied. The topics were tied. I've never had all three topics tied, but so I made the executive decision after all the voting came in to just talk about imposter syndrome. This is something that I'm so happy I learned what it is, because you ever experience something or think something or something is affecting your mind, and then you finally find the ways to categorize it. You finally find, like, verbatim someone putting on the page exactly what you've been thinking and struggling with. That's exactly the case with me and this imposter syndrome thing. I just found out about it, I want to say at the beginning of this year, what it actually meant. I think I've mentioned it before in a past video, but I want to go in depth and discuss it today. By the way, like I said, thank you for those of you who went to patreon.com/AdrianExpression and signed up, so you get to have your voice really heard when it comes to the types of content that I'm making. So let's talk about this imposter syndrome. If you're not exactly sure what it is, I'm sure you've experienced it at some, because the research shows that 70% of people will feel this at some point in their lives. So imposter syndrome is when you have the qualifications, you have the work experience, maybe you have the resume, you have the life experience, the skills to do a certain task, but all that aside, you still feel like you're not qualified. You still feel like an imposter. You feel like a fraud, and you feel like people will find out that you don't really know what you're talking about or what you're doing, and that causes like extreme anxiety and self-sabotage, paralysis. It can be really debilitating. Let me give you some more concrete examples. For example, if you're up for a promotion and your resume shows that you can handle this job, your experience shows, your skills show, your past shows that you can handle this, your ability shows that you can handle it. You'll still be nervous. I'm not talking about the regular nervous, like, oh wow, I'm up for a promotion, that's so crazy, new job. I'm not talking about new job jitters. I'm talking about actually thinking to yourself that you don't belong here, even though your resume has shown that. I've even seen and heard of people with their PhDs thinking that they are not qualified enough to do certain jobs within their positions that they're obviously qualified to do, but it's just your mind will really play tricks on you, having you think that you are not capable of certain things when you literally are. So I want to go even further and talk about Dr. Valerie Young. She's an expert in this area, and she authored the book The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women. So I'm going to pull from a Time magazine article that I read from her. Also, I watched her TED Talk, which was really good. She separates the type of people that feel this in 5 different categories, and I'll go through them really quickly so we have a deeper understanding of what it means. So first, the perfectionists, and I can see myself in a lot of these categories, so I don't know, girl, but so the perfectionists set extremely high expectations for themselves, and even if they meet 99% of their goals, they're going to feel like failures. So you could literally do 99.9% of the job correctly, and you may have slipped up one time, like everyone does, because they're human beings, and you'll be like, oh well, I'm a failure, I didn't do anything right. That's one segment of it. Now she moves on. The experts feel the need to know every piece of information before they start a project, and they constantly look for new trainings and certifications and shit to improve their skills. They don't apply for certain jobs if they feel like they don't meet every single one of the criteria. They're extremely afraid of looking stupid, so they don't raise their hand if they think they know the answer. So things like that. She moves on to the natural genius. She says when the natural genius has to struggle or work hard to accomplish something, he or she thinks that means that they're a failure. They're not good enough because they're so used to things coming easy. The soloists, woo, this one dragged the entire shit out of me. The soloists feel like they have to accomplish tasks on their own, and if they need to ask for help, that they think that means they're a failure or a fraud. That's powerful. I think that is also, because she goes and she kind of talks about the reasons why this kind of comes up, and she says one of the things may have to do with upbringing, how you were raised. Maybe when you were younger, the grades that you got, you felt like you were never good enough, or the grades really determined how you were treated or whether you received love or not. Like, it's just, it can go really deep. And then so the last category is Superman or Superwoman. They push themselves to work harder than those around them to prove that they are not imposters. They feel the need to succeed in all aspects of life at like all simultaneously at the same time. And they may feel stressed when they are not accomplishing something. So yeah, like I said, the person this comes from is Dr. Valerie Young. You can look her up. She's really an expert on this particular subject. It's just really crazy to see, like I said before, it's crazy to have all these thoughts and to be thinking this and to be really down on yourself and dragging the shit out of yourself and not know that there is a whole terminology, like there's a whole syndrome for that. Now that we know what it is, we can tackle it. So one way to do this, one way to tackle feeling like, because like I said, there are trained grown-ass professionals who feel like they're working and they have the credentials, they have the experience, and they still feel like frauds. They still feel like somebody's going to like point them out or uncover the truth that they actually really don't know what they're talking about. And it's just, you're just being too hard on yourself. So what we have to do is reframe it. Like I said, we have to think about it in a different way. It's just like, you will not know all the answers to every single question in your field. You can have your PhD, you can be extremely trained. I mean, I keep going back to PhD because my experience is like, my background is a bunch of college education, but you know, PhD equivalent, whatever that means in your field. You could be a damn mechanic, you could be, you know what I mean, whatever that means. You could be the most successful person in your field and still not know the answers to every single question in your field. It does not mean that you are not qualified. It does not mean that you don't have the experience or credentials. It just means you're a fucking human being and you you have questions and you made mistakes. You're going to continue to make mistakes as long as you learn from them and grow. That's all that matters. I think the other thing also is to realize that there are people out here who are not qualified and they don't care. There are people out here who are not qualified and they're going to get the job that you are sitting here with your qualified ass not going for, not applying for, because you feel like the experts, like Dr. Valerie Young said, they won't apply for a job if they don't meet all the criteria in posting. So it's just like, there's so many unqualified people applying, just going, applying for jobs, doing whatever the hell they want to do. And you are sitting here missing out on opportunities because you feel like if you don't know every answer to every single question that ever presents itself ever in your field, you're not applying for that particular job. Girl, go get the job! Go get the job! Now, of course, this is not to say that you shouldn't train or you shouldn't seek to improve your skills. But if that training and trying to improve yourself is coming from a place of you thinking that you don't deserve to be where you are, or you are never qualified to be in this place in the first place, even though your past and your resume, like I've said before, has proven, your training has proven, your credentials already prove that you are good at what you do. If that constant need for improvement is coming from a place of you diminishing yourself and devaluing yourself, that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. And it's rich coming from my perfectionist crazy ass. It's really rich coming from my ass who I love to drag myself. I love to be hard on myself. So it's really interesting that this message is coming from me. It's really crazy. And a soloist, oh yeah. I was working hard on, I forget which project it was. I don't know if it was my ebook or something. I don't know. I was working on a particular project and I was talking to my friend about it. I was talking to Kaba about it. And he was like, why don't you just have someone else do this segment that you're not completely comfortable with? Why don't you have, because it's still your project, but that does not mean that you have to sit here and do everything, otherwise you're a fraud. No, girl, outsource this. Get this done through someone else. Use the resources around you. It's okay if you let it go, because sometimes if you're not particularly versed, like say I'm a writer, right? Say I'm a writer and I need something drawn up for a cover of my book. Why the fuck would I sit here? If I'm not an artist, why would I sit here and like act like I can draw some shit really well or paint something really well when I know that I can't do it? And then on top of that, it's like, okay, you're a writer, you're not a painter, you're not, like, don't sit here wasting time trying to learn how to be an expert painter from scratch when your ass is a writer. Outsource these things. So that's why, like we just talked about the soloists, they feel like they have to accomplish tasks on their own, and if they need to ask for help, they think that means they are a failure or a fraud. No, girl, ask for help, and it does not make you a fraud. We just have to be realistic with ourselves about the situation. Like, I listened to Dr. Valerie Young's TED Talk, and she said, if someone came up to you saying, hey, you did a good job, that was great, that was amazing, and she made a specific example about somebody needing to do a presentation, and she only had, the company rushed her in to do it, she only had 1 day to do it, and she pulled it, she did a good job. She came up there, pulled out the information, and did a good job. As you know, Dr. Valerie Young said that she would be rude if someone came up to her and said, hey, you did a really amazing, that was really good. And the person said, well, no, that was all bullshit. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm talking about. No, girl, obviously you do if you put on a good presentation. So she's saying that would be rude if you did all that, if you pulled it together and someone complimented you and you brushed it off. That'd be rude. So why would you do it to yourself? You know, you need to be realistic with yourself. Say, hey, I didn't have enough time, or I didn't have a lot of time to pull this together, or I did the best that I could have done with this situation, and people found the information useful, and that's it. That means you're a resourceful, competent person. You're a good employee, a good worker, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. So I don't know, I guess that's the reason why I'm so passionate about it, because I can really relate to this. Remember, I told you guys that from every era of my schooling, like from elementary to middle, from middle to high, from high to undergrad, from undergrad to grad, remember I told you guys that in every one of those, every single one of those transitions, I felt like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, why did they accept me? I don't know if I can really handle it. I don't know. It's just like, girl, why are you doing that? And so that's putting a name to it. That's putting a name to it. Even though you're qualified, even though you've demonstrated, I was getting A's and B's and shit. You know, even for the most part, you know, getting A's and B's and shit, you demonstrated that you have a mastery, or you can do this, and yet you're still nervous when you have to be promoted, when you have to move on to another step. But like, for what? You thinking that you're a fraud. That's what it is. You think you're not actually competent or actually capable of doing these things, even though you're literally, as you're moving through life, you're proving yourself wrong. So I don't know, I love this topic. You know what's crazy to me? It seems like the people who are so competent, the people who are just extremely good at what they do, a lot of them, they doubt the hell out of themselves. Like, they think they're fraud, they think they're imposters, they doubt themselves, the self-doubt is crippling. But then the people who are shit at their jobs, your boss, you know what I mean? The people who jobs you could do in they sleep, them motherfuckers be the most confident ones. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Them motherfuckers be the most confident ones. It's like, bitch, you don't know what you're doing. Okay? The people who are more humble, more subdued, those are the ones I tend to listen to, because even though they may doubt their abilities, they be the ones good at their jobs, who can actually help you out. The ones who braggadocious and bragging and talking, oh yeah, girl, usually they be the most lost and clueless ones. So just keep that in mind. Really look this up. This imposter syndrome thing is very interesting to me, because I finally get to put a name to how I feel sometimes. Let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced something like this, because I would love to see that. I would love to see you guys talk about it. Now, if you want more topics like this, make sure you go to patreon.com/AdrianExpression and sign up, because you get to let me know what you want to see on these Mondays. So far, it's been so amazing. I want to thank everyone who signed up. Like I said before, I will see you all soon, and make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.